Bantam Doubleday Dell Audio Publishing presents Instant Emotional Healing, Acupressure for the Emotions by Peter Lambrou, Ph.D. and George Pratt, Ph.D.
Hello, I'm Dr. Peter Lambrou.
And I'm Dr. George Pratt. We're traditionally trained psychologists who today find ourselves at the leading edge of exciting and controversial new therapies that make extravagant promises. Certainly we accept the fundamental connection of mind and body and have approached mental and emotional healing from this perspective for most of our careers. However, nothing we've ever used as a treatment technique equals the rapid action and success rate of the approach we call emotional self-management, or ESM, which is presented in this audio program. ESM is one of the several therapies that falls under the heading of thought field therapy, which combines Western cognitive approaches with Eastern acupressure techniques. Our work with this new method of releasing negative emotions has shown that a 95% success rate is practical and achievable in a clinical setting. In most cases, we're not talking about temporary relief of symptoms, but about ridding clients of their distress forever, for example in cases involving past emotional trauma or phobias. But the techniques in this program go beyond eliminating negative emotions that affect functioning. These methods can be used to manage the full spectrum of life stressors, including some types of physiological problems, and to maximize individual performance and effectiveness. ESM can help people from all walks of life and in all arenas of life with issues from parenting to personal relationships to public speaking. Instant emotional healing is not just a self-help program. It's a foundation for a new way of optimizing your life and your performance in all areas. When we first started using these therapies, we were skeptical ourselves. In those early days, we were as astounded as our clients who were seeing results immediately, right there in our offices. Never before had we seen so many grateful clients with such wonderful success stories. You'll be hearing about many of these successes. They've inspired us to develop this program. Thought field therapy is the umbrella term for a number of therapies based on an understanding of the eastern meridian systems of the body and the way that cognitive thought energy fields interact with the body, where energy, thought, and emotion overlap. Among mental health professionals, thought field therapy is rapidly gaining advocates and practitioners. Attendance at workshops and public presentations, including those that we offer, is increasing rapidly. In our own practices, we've administered well over 18,000 treatments with repeatable, reliable results.
In the first part of this program, we will present a broad picture of the many applications of emotional self-management. You will learn the balanced breathing exercise, along with the basic techniques for tapping at the designated acupressure sites used in most of the procedures. You will also learn the exercise for correcting polarity reversals, which is the foundation step for addressing specific emotional issues. Our discussion then focuses on effectively managing emotions. You will learn to accurately measure the level of your distress using something called the Subjective Units of Distress Scale, and there is information on how to work with layered emotions as they arise. Next, we'll come to the heart of the matter, the emotion-specific ESM protocols. We'll take you on a step-by-step run-through of the basic procedure and tell you everything you need to know to administer these procedures yourself. You'll learn the rest of the tapping sites, how to diagnose difficulties and make corrections if you do not get immediate results. The last part of this program will address a variety of issues: performance and productivity applications for ESM, follow-up and maintenance, and guidelines on how to teach or administer ESM techniques to others, including children. As new discoveries illuminate the workings of the brain and body, novel applications are being found for energy therapies. The techniques of thought field therapy are a natural for self-administration. Yet, so far, no other audio program has taught people to use these simple practices on their own. We created this program so people everywhere can gain access to these amazing tools. A Vietnam vet, sole survivor and sole witness to the death of his entire squad during a fierce jungle battle, tormented by survivor's guilt. A college senior, distraught over the breakup with his high school sweetheart, on the verge of flunking out. A prominent NFL player wanting to improve his game performance. A 4-year-old girl, jealous and threatened by her new adopted brother. A highly successful 66-year-old executive who has lived his life under a cloud of depression and self-recrimination since accidentally shooting his best friend when he was 16. A woman dangerously postponing an operation because she is too frightened to have the surgery. A young lawyer whose boyfriend's slovenly habits are driving her up the wall. A man with a history of panic attacks, dreading seeing his father at his upcoming wedding after many years of not speaking. What do these seemingly diverse people have in common? All of them experienced immediate and lasting relief from their troubles, many after years of painful suffering, using the techniques of emotional self-management. Does the idea that you can instantly get over your fears or your sadness, that you could feel more relaxed and balanced in your everyday life sound too good to be true? Well, we mean exactly what the title says: instant emotional healing. When you master the skills presented in this audio program, you will be able to heal, often in one session, long-standing troubling issues from your past. Grief over a divorce, a phobia about freeway driving, a long-festering anger over a business deal gone sour. You will have a set of tools to help you immediately handle the day-to-day stresses of your life: a bumper-to-bumper commute, a critical boss, the remodeling of your kitchen, your anxiety about paying bills, or the presentation you have to make at work next week. You will work more productively and perform at a higher level. Instant healing, even from lifelong problems, from fear, anxiety, anger and jealousy, and phobias? These seem like extraordinary claims, but all of the people mentioned earlier were treated in our offices, typically in 1 to 3 sessions. To give you an idea of how the methods of ESM can be used for a wide variety of emotional issues, from minor irritations to major traumas, we're going to share with you a few cases drawn from our experiences. Nearly 3 weeks after he escaped his kidnappers, Gunther continued to be withdrawn and frightened. When he arrived at my office, he seemed like a broken young man, his shoulders hunched into the upturned collar of his leather jacket, his eyes darting nervously around the room. Nightmares plagued his sleep. He was unable to leave the house without breaking into a cold sweat. It had been a horrific ordeal for the whole family, as they worried about Gunther and negotiated the terms and logistics of the sizable ransom for his release with the nervous and off-balance kidnappers. By the time Gunther came to see me, I had already treated his mother and sister for their own stress and sleeplessness. "How often do I have to come here?" he asked. "I don't know how many times I can come back." At first I thought Gunther was so disoriented that he was worried about the expense that his family would incur. But I soon learned he was terrified of being taken captive again. When I told him that what was upsetting him now would be gone by the time he left in the next hour, he didn't believe me. We quickly went through the protocol for trauma, repeating the sequence for a couple of particularly terrifying memories of his time in captivity. He recalled the day when his skittish and alcohol-fueled captors bound and blindfolded him and moved him from place to place 4 times in the trunk of a car. A morning when they thought they were being tricked by Gunther's family and threatened to kill him right then and there. By the end of the session, Gunther's whole demeanor had changed. He relaxed in his chair, where before he had been stiff and watchful. For the first time, he was able to speak about his ordeal without his heart pounding. Although still subdued, he smiled and thanked me. The Gunther who returned to see me a few days later seemed like a different person. He was again the confident and renowned financier making plans for a major new project. The nightmares had not returned since the first treatment. He reported that since our meeting, after the weeks of stoicism since he escaped his captors, he finally had been able to cry. He had spent many hours during the past few days talking with his family. They learned every detail of his captivity, and they told him about their ordeal and their fear for his life when it looked like the ransom drop-off had been botched. There was more healing work ahead for Gunther and his family. We continued to work together for 3 more sessions as the layers of guilt, fear, and anger surfaced. But Gunther was himself again. He was no longer being held prisoner by the feeling.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?